Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in to another crypto video here today. Going to be discussing another coin. I absolutely love going into the hopeful bull run. There's been a few people spreading some FUD saying it's not going to happen based off the 4-year cycle, based off of Bitcoin, based off of the recent money flow into Ethereum. I certainly think we will have a bull run and hopefully a blow off top for alt season, maybe in Q4 of 2024 towards the end around Thanksgiving or Christmas. And if it happens, I think Nasdaq420, which right now is a very low cap coin on Ethereum, will certainly benefit. So right now Nasdaq is sitting at around $3.8 to $4 million in terms of overall market cap. It seems seemingly been able to sustain a local floor over the past month of around $4 million. It did originally back in early January of 2025 reach its all-time high of around 15 million. It retraced all the way back down to around 900K, and it had a recent run to around 10 million, one of the top stock to meme performers. Yes, this coin will be certainly helped if SPX 6900, which is based off of the S&P, the idea that they're going to flip the S&P 500, if SPX does go to 20 or 30 billion dollars. Right now, I believe it's a little bit over $1 billion. This is the main narrative. It is the stock market theme coin. It is the main NASDAQ stock market theme cryptocurrency. As you can see, SPX, which is based off of the S&P, it is at around $1.35 billion. Nasdaq420, which is based off of the Nasdaq 100, kind of a yin and a yang, is sitting at 3.8 million. This coin does check a lot of boxes in terms of a few massive 80 to 90% drops, which is very typical when you're talking about a cryptocurrency, a coin that at this point is almost a year old. So it's not this super new coin. And this is a coin that I have held for, at this point, around 9 to 10 months, maybe even longer. I think I first bought it in December or January, maybe a little bit after January. But I've had this coin, and I've got a decent buy-in, by the way, because I did acquire a decent amount under the 3.8 million, although some of it was acquired above the 3.8 million, and I'm perfectly fine with that because I do think the coin will do very well. Taking a look at the overall DEX screener, we'll just go on the daily. You can see certainly, in comparison to its low back in April, it's sitting around a 2 to a 3x higher, at least the local low is sitting around $4 million. Going to the X account, they do have around 2,700 followers at this point, and they've got a very nice team. They did great artwork with Nasdaq420. When you're looking at these stock to meme coins, I just love the way the logos look. I love the way they're formatted. I like the theory of the stock to meme because think about it. We think of the stock market, you buy shares, you translate that hopefully into a significant gain. When I was younger, 14, 15 years old, I always thought about the idea of buying stocks. It's kind of funny how the only stocks I've ever bought have been Bitcoin mining stocks, and I barely bought any of those. So it's all been crypto for me. It's kind of this day and age with younger people, I think. And a lot of it's been meme coins. I started on utility, and I've switched to meme coins. And I think some of that is when you don't have a ton of money, although I do have, at this point, a decent amount of money. But when you don't have a crazy amount of money, you've got to kind of have to go into riskier plays. And so when it comes to something like Nasdaq, you can see they've got their own emoji similar to SPX. That is, I think, the Wi-Fi symbol, but it's blue, and then you've got the wing. So I think that looks clean, and to me, it just makes sense. The idea of imagine SPX. We know the community is ridiculous. You could say by far, I don't know by far, but certainly in terms of meme coin communities, it is robust. They don't even have an official X account, and they have the best community. So if they go to 20 or 30 billion, that's an influx of another, depending on what they go to, another 20 to 30 billion into the stock to meme into SPX. Now you can say SPX is its own separate entity, but there's always going to be the players off of SPX, just like with Dogecoin with Dog Elon Musk, like baby Dogecoin, Shiba Inu. There's going to be the plays off of it, and certainly there's way more coins now. There's a lot of dilution. But if you're talking about 20 or 30 billion dollars going into SPX, maybe even more, if that happens, we don't know if it will or not. We don't know if there's going to be enough influx in terms of overall money. Nasdaq420, the hope would be a relatively large jump because it would be situated on Ethereum as the main beta play to the SPX 6900 meta, because you've got S&P 500, you've got Nasdaq 100, you've got SPX 6900, you've got Nasdaq 420. That's the idea with Nasdaq 420. And I've been following this coin for a while. They do a great job on the Telegram, even during weeks like this where it's not going to be very active. The trading in September normally, traditionally in crypto, is not great. The activity is not great. They still are grinding, and we are certainly hopeful at some point. Nasdaq 420, I mean, we saw it catch a run to 10, 15 million. Imagine if Nasdaq 420 is situated at a certain point to where it's at 10, 15 million, and then it gets a 10x from there or a 20x from there. You know, we're talking about hopefully maybe a 9-figure coin, maybe 100 million, maybe 500 million. Obviously, at around 3.8 million, if you want it to 100x, it's got to go to $380 million or 38 cents. It does have a supply of 1 billion, like pretty much all coins. Well, not all, but a lot of meme coins now are going with the total supply of 1 billion because it's very easy. $1 equals $1 billion in terms of market cap. And also, like, all the pump fund coins have a total supply of 1 billion, so that's part of it as well. But I really do like Nasdaq 420. We can also take a look at their website as well. The websites are kind of they're all the same to me, but this is nice. I mean, they've just got a ton of artwork on here, and you can see, I think they've actually maybe upgraded this website since the last time I saw it. I mean, they've got a presence on Reddit, they've got a presence on TikTok, they've got a presence on Instagram. I mean, they've really built this project out. They really have. And I think the reason that's not loading very well is because of my computer, honestly. Because this happens with different websites when I go to them from the Dex Screener page. So that might be a problem on my end. But, you know, they've built this coin up significantly. They've got a presence on a lot of these social medias. And I do think they're set up. If we get a month and a half of a crazy bull run, we know SPX is set up to really go mainstream and to get to 10, 15, 20 billion dollars if there is the money flow into Ethereum. If Ethereum goes to $10,000, $12,000, over $1 trillion in terms of total market cap for ETH, there's going to be money flow into SPX. There has to be. There's too many eyeballs already on it. It's at that point, it's just going to be organic flow directly onto it. And so then hopefully Nasdaq 420 and some of these other coins that are stock to meme, they will take off. I know people like some of the other stock to meme coins, but if you're talking about specifically the SPX narrative on Ethereum, what are the other coins that people are going to look into when you're talking about Ethereum? Well, you've got the MicroStrategy 2100, which is a coin that, well, I'll give them credit. They're performing well recently. They are up 23%. But this is a coin that, relative to Nasdaq 420, doesn't have the best chart. They rebranded MicroStrategy into just strategy. I've got nothing against this coin, but I'm just saying. And also, I can understand the idea of it because MicroStrategy, they do have the idea of acquiring Bitcoin, so it fits in really well with crypto. So I get it. But just in general, when you're talking about these coins on Ethereum, Nasdaq 420 is situated the best out of any, because most of this coin is Ethereum as well, but I don't really view it as stock to meme, the GameStop coin. But it is a good it's a good narrative. This is a Solana. This is Solana. This, I believe, is also Solana. Ethereum, Solana. This is another one I really like, the DXY. SPX 2.0 could do very well. There was a snafu with some things on SPX 2.0. I'm not exactly sure what happened. Wow, they've got this stock coin now. I didn't even realize they got this on here now. I'm guessing that's a Solana coin. I can pretty much guarantee it. Are there any other new coins on here? I don't think so. So I just think Nasdaq 420 is positioned the best when you're talking about Ethereum and you're looking at the money flow into Ethereum, and you're going to be looking at SPX 6900, 10, 20, $30 billion. That's basically an additional 10, 20, $30 billion into the meta, and the money will flow into Nasdaq 420. It'll flow into USD Gen Index. It might flow into SPX 2.0. It might flow into based SPX. It might flow into MicroStrategy 2100. I don't own it, but I'm saying this is where it's going to go with because SPX, it's a Titan. It is a Titan. It's a Titan meme coin. And whether or not you think there's a narrative there or it's died out or whatever, I mean, the coin is holding up well. It's at 1.3 billion. And and Nasdaq 420 in a way will be it's a make or break. You know, if SPX does very well, I think Nasdaq will do a significantly higher multiplier, and that's nothing against SPX. I mean, look at the total market cap right now. You're talking about around a $4 million market cap versus 1.3 billion. I mean, Nasdaq would have to do like a 350x to get to 1.3 billion, and I'm not saying it's going to get to 1.3 billion. I'm just saying in general. I mean, these moves in crypto, they're not impossible. Now, yes, you could say there's a catalyst with SPX and Murad, and I understand that, but still, SPX 6900 was hanging around 10 million last September, and it made a move over $1 billion in the span of about 2 months, and that's an Ethereum coin, while Ethereum wasn't performing very well. So these coins can take off, and it's the same narrative, and it's the same idea, and everyone always compares, and you're talking about the indexes, you're talking about the S&P 500, you're talking about the Nasdaq 100. This is the exact same thing, and there is an Ethereum coin that has great artwork, that is established, that at this point is a year old, that's experienced big drops and held. So now you're seeing a coin that's developed price history, that is holding a higher floor, and a coin that could really blast off. And I think they've put themselves in the position to blast off, in perfect position to blast off, I should say. So that's just my thoughts on Nasdaq 420. But guys, make sure you like the video down below. Also, this is not financial advice. Thank you for watching.